Let me ask you something. How many moments in your life never happened? Not because you failed, not because someone said no, but because you decided the outcome before it even began. Think about that. Because by the end of this video, you'll see that some of the biggest limitations in your life weren't imposed on you by circumstances, by people, or by lack of ability. They were imposed by a thought that arrived so quickly, so confidently, that you never questioned it. A thought like, there's no point. I already know how this ends. Someone like me doesn't get outcomes like that. Today we're talking about something subtle, something socially invisible, something that feels like realism but isn't. It's called Pre-Emptive Self-Disqualification, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Pre-emptive self-disqualification is a psychological habit of opting out of opportunities before reality ever gets a chance to respond. You don't fail, you don't get rejected, you don't even choose. You simply decide internally that the outcome is already known. And because the outcome feels certain, action feels unnecessary. What makes this dangerous is that it doesn't feel like fear. Fear is obvious, fear is loud, fear shakes. This is quieter. This feels like insight, maturity, being realistic, protecting your time, protecting your ego. But in truth, it's avoidance disguised as intelligence. The mind creates a future prediction, treats it as fact, and uses that imaginary certainty to shut down the present moment. No experiment, no feedback, no evidence, just assumption. So here are some examples. Picture this first of all. You're standing in line somewhere, a coffee shop, airport, bookstore, and you notice her. You feel it immediately. That subtle pull, that quiet interest. Now pause the scene. Before you consciously think, should I talk to her, something else happens first. A sentence forms. She wouldn't be into someone like me. Notice how fast this arrives. Notice how confident it sounds. You haven't spoken. You haven't exchanged a glance. You don't know her values, her situation, her preferences. Yet somehow you know, and then your mind fills in the blanks. She's probably taken. She probably wants someone taller, richer, more confident. I'm not her type, or whatever else it may be. And just like that, the option disappears. You don't feel rejected because rejection never occurred. You feel calm, rational, safe. But what actually happened? You didn't avoid rejection. You rejected yourself on her behalf. You eliminated uncertainty by inventing certainty. You protected your ego by sacrificing possibility. Years later, you won't remember her face, but your nervous system will remember the pattern. Now let's shift domains. You're scrolling through job listings, or someone sends you an opportunity, and something in you lights up. For a moment you imagine it, a different environment, a different version of yourself, a step forward. Then the shutdown sequence begins. There's no way I'd get this. They'll have hundreds of applicants. I don't tick every box. Notice what you don't do. You don't research who actually gets hired. You don't speak to anyone in the company. You don't even try. You treat your imagined probability as settled fact. And because you didn't apply, you can tell yourself it wasn't meant for me anyway. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't know if you would have been rejected because you never gave reality the chance to answer. You outsourced the decision of fear and called it logic. Now imagine this. You have an idea, a business, a podcast, a book, a project, and it excites you, which is exactly why the resistance shows up. The thoughts sound sophisticated, the market is oversaturated, People like me don't succeed at this. I'm starting too late. None of these statements are falsifiable. None of them are tested. They are just conversation enders. They exist for only one reason: to prevent you from finding out who you could become. So you never launch, you never publish, never ship version 1. And later you say, I could have done that. But potential untested is not potential, it's fantasy. So let's go deeper. You're invited somewhere, or you consider showing up somewhere you feel slightly out of place. Immediately you think, I don't belong there. They're not my kind of people. Again, certainty without evidence. This isn't humility, this is identity protection. If you don't enter the room, you don't risk discovering that you belong more than you thought, or that you don't and survived anyway. Both outcomes would grow you. Avoidance grows nothing. Pre-emptive self-disqualification exists because the brain prioritizes emotional efficiency, not truth. Uncertainty costs energy. Ego threat costs energy. So the brain does what it does best. It creates a story that ends the problem early. Certainty, even false certainty, feels better than openness. But certainty has a hidden price. When you decide the outcome in advance, you remove yourself from the equation. No risk, no agency, no growth. This pattern doesn't end by being more confident. It ends by changing how you relate to prediction. So, first of all, replace prediction with experiment. Anytime you hear there's no point, translate it to, I don't know the outcome, and that's uncomfortable. The job is not to be right, the job is to run the experiment. Then we separate action from outcome. Your responsibility is action, not results. Apply, speak, show up, submit. Let reality reject you if it must. Don't do it on reality's behalf. Ask a disruptive question. Every time certainty appears, ask, why am I protecting myself from feeling? The question collapses the illusion. And then we can redefine failure. Failure is not rejection. Failure is never entering the field. Regrets compound quietly. Most people don't live smaller lives because they are incapable. They live smaller lives because they decided prematurely that the door was already closed. But many doors were never closed. They were simply never touched. So the next time certainty shows up uninvited, question it. Because sometimes the most dangerous sentence you can believe is, I already know how this ends. If you like this episode, follow, comment and subscribe, and check out the rest of our videos.